Well. I'm back. It's going to take me a minute, though, to get everyone to come back here. What a mess. For some reason, my entire Streamlabs setup died. Can't figure that out. What the hell's going on here? Why isn't this working? Anyway, so I'm sure people are surely coming in here. I can't see you yet because I can't open my YouTube window. So give me a moment. I will figure this out. Looks like I am live here with an excellent feed. Let's see. Welcome back to those of you who did make it back. What a mess. I see ya. Yes, this is part 2. Let's pop this out so I can see what the hell I'm doing here. There's something it must be going on with my computer. Who knows? But anyway, let's put that live chat. Welcome back, Avocaz Diabli, Mike Savage, Somnambul Nation, Select Boy, Zan Wild, Chicago Mike, and Tyler F. And this is so I had to completely restart my computer for some reason. I had to re-download some Streamlabs stuff. I don't even know if the settings are right. Let me check the settings. Did it screw up my settings? Output, video's messed up, so you're gonna have a kind of a foggy me, but that's okay. We'll fix that later. Yeah, go figure. What the hell is happening here? Temps are up again. Nice, clear, sunny day in Spudland. Well, there you go. Temps up again. Temps up from what, though? You were having some serious heat issues in that part of the world. We were pretty normal for where I live, but in fact, we're a little below normal right now. Anyway, so we were talking about this stupid Build Back Better bill, which, now, let's for those of you who are making it back, the final. Now, let me get back into this article that has been taking me so long to finish because of our little delay here. Senate Democrats have promised the bill will lower healthcare costs for millions of Americans by allowing Medicare to negotiate prescription drug prices and capping Medicare recipients out-of-pocket prescription drug prices at $2,000 a year. Well, that'll help some people, sure. Those who receive health insurance coverage through the Affordable Care Act marketplace are also expected to see lower premium costs. Well, that's good because their premium costs went up by exponentially, almost. I mean, they're oh my God. The Affordable Care Act, that's another misnomer and misnamed product from our United States government and mostly Democrats. Anyway, the legislation includes a number of tax provisions to cover the cost of these policies, bringing in $739 billion for the government and resulting in an overall deficit reduction of roughly $300 billion. I'll believe it when I see it. They keep saying that, but they never get it right. The policy changes include new corporate minimum tax, a 1% excise tax on stock buybacks, and stricter enforcement by the Internal Revenue Service. Oh, really? 80-some thousand new agents? That's, woo boy. Now, Chuck Schumer, smarmy prick from New York. Oh no, this is Biden's statements. Here's Joseph Rahim's Biden statement. Today, the Senate Democrats sided with American families over special interest. Wait a minute. Hold it. Let's stop right there. Aren't you climate hacks special interest? The so-called green energy people who are going to save us from our own heat waves that we create with our fossil fuels, aren't those special interests? You think the people who are running companies like Solyndra that took millions and millions of dollars from the U.S. taxpayer and then just defaulted, you don't call them a special interest? So here again, Biden. Lower the cost of prescription drugs, health insurance, and everyday energy costs. No, they will not save anyone a dime of energy costs. You know, look, the cheapest EVs, electric vehicles, got to be in the 50,000 range. Is it going to save me energy costs to buy an electric vehicle? If I have to, if my entry fee is 50 grand, 50 to 80 to 100 grand. What about people like me who drive a pickup? You think I'm going to buy a Tesla pickup? No, not for the 130 it cost. When I can buy a used Ford for 15 grand. No, it's not going to save me any money. It's not going to save anybody any money. I read for President promising to make government work for working families again. And that's what this bill does, period. No, it doesn't. It's going to make people who have better tax accountants do much better. And all the rest of us, by the way, remember he said he wasn't going to raise taxes on anyone making over $400,000 a year. Now we find out in this bill, every tax bracket, I think except for one, is getting their taxes raised. And that includes the people who go 0 to like 30 grand. It's just that one little tax bracket in between. Everybody else is going to pay more taxes, not just the corporations. Lying piece of shit. Now, the final Senate vote was 51-50, with every Democrat supporting the bill and all 50 Republicans opposed the legislation. With the Senate evenly divided on the bill's passage, Vice President Kamala run-on sentence Harris cast the tie-breaking vote. Because Democrats used the reconciliation process to advance the bill, they needed only a simple majority to pass the proposal, allowing them to avoid a Republican filibuster. They need to bring that shit back. I personally don't think you should be able to pass any federal law or bill in the federal government without at least 2/3 vote. I'm just saying. It's, you know what? Because really, it should be harder to pass laws, federal laws, because the state laws are what you're supposed to be able to pass. Now, if you want to pass a state law in your little state of New Hampshire or Rhode Island or Wyoming or California or whatever, you should be able to pass your laws, and the people in your state should be able to have that democracy that you keep talking about. But keep your democracy off of my head, please, because I don't need to have laws like they have in California, because California's stupid. Anyway, but the choice to use reconciliation also somewhat limited what Democrats could include in their bill. Yeah, they had some things that they didn't get through because they weren't really within the reconciliation process. The Senate parliamentarians ruled on Saturday that a key health care provision, which would have placed inflation-related caps on companies' ability to raise prescription drug prices for private insurance plans, ran afoul of reconciliation rules. Another proposal to cap the cost of insulin in the private insurance market at $35 a month was also stripped out of the bill after 43 Senate Republicans voted to block the policy on procedural grounds. Still, Senate Democrats celebrated. Yay! That the Senate parliamentarian allowed most of their health care and climate provisions to move forward. Yeah, well, anyway, so this article goes on and on and on and on because it's The Guardian. I'm sorry. The whole bill is bullshit. I'm sorry. And it's not, I'm still wondering what happened to inflation reduction. What does it call it? What do they call it? The inflation. What the hell do they call this stupid shit? The Inflation Reduction Act. Please, please, please tell me now. How the hell are you going to reduce inflation with this bill? Please. And if you caught the Duran Duran reference, yes, I did throw that in there. Hello, BG. Nice to have you. I'm glad of all of y'all who showed up later because this stream went down for several minutes. And in fact, this is just a part 2. So anyway, these people are so full of shit. You know, here's my proposal for the federal government. You know how we have those government shutdowns every once in a while? And it's miraculously we save some money somehow on the government shutdowns. I say we have a 2-year government shutdown where the Senate and House and President are just banned from doing any bill whatsoever. No bills, no laws, nothing. Except, in fact, just shut the whole damn government down except for those things necessary to keep the country running. So, for example, if you get Social Security, you're still going to get your Social Security check. If you need to have a disability check, you're still going to get a disability check. If you're going to, the military's got to still run, you still got to have some, maybe the national parks, I don't know. They got to have the 1 or 2 forest rangers out there. But other than that, shut the entire Congress and Senate down for 2 years where they can't pass any more spending. They can't pass anything else. Nothing new. Nothing. All they can do is, wait a minute, except for one thing. Here's one thing they should be able to do. They should be able to find places to cut government spending. That's all they can do for 2 years. That would be my new law. And they should do that. They should have to do that. In fact, let's do for every new dollar you spend, you have to reduce spending by $1.50 somewhere else in the government. That would be a great plan. Or just freeze the budget for 20 years. Then that would help inflation, because this Inflation Reduction Act is more like a printing machine to go brrr act, because they're just going to be printing money left and right. You know that all these, they say, it's going to reduce the deficit by $300 million. Well, isn't our deficit like, it's way more than that. It's not going to reduce any deficit. You're going to be spending it all on climate bullshit. Anyway, now let's, now the only really, I'm only going to get to this because the whole show crashed for a while. So there's one article that I haven't read. I know that I'm going to read this article and I'm going to go, because Thomas Sowell has decided to chime in, not necessarily exclusively on the Build Back Better Butthole Act, but I'm just going to read it because it's Thomas Sowell. So here we go. This is a article in Front Page Magazine called "The Point of No Return. You either believe in laws or you believe in mob rule." Now, this is not necessarily about the Build Back Better Butthole Act, but anyway. Thomas Sowell, a brilliant economist and thinking human being that I greatly appreciate. Let's begin. This is an election year, but the issues this year are not about Democrats and Republicans. The big issue is whether this nation has degenerated to a point of no return, a point where we can risk destroying ourselves before our enemies destroy us. If there is one moment that symbolized our degeneration, it was when an enraged mob gathered in front of the Supreme Court and a leader of the United States Senate shouted threats against Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, saying, "You won't know what hit you." That would be the smarmy prick from New York, Chuck Schumer. There has always been irresponsible demagogues, but there was once a time when anyone who shouted threats to a Supreme Court justice would see the end of his own political career and could not show his face in decent society again. Remember, this is the smarmy prick from New York named Chuck Schumer, who led the charge on the Build Back Better Butthole boondoggle, whatever, baby-killing butthole bill. There have always been irresponsible. Okay, I already said that. You either believe in laws or you believe in mob rule. It doesn't matter whether you agree with the law or agree with the mob on some particular issue. If threats of violence against judges and publishing where a judge's children go to school is the way to settle issues, then there is not much point in having elections or laws. Because remember, they even were talking about where Amy Coney Barrett's children were going to school and talking about picketing there. Like, come on, assholes. Hello, Jimmy Das Hotep. Yes, I did have a great weekend. I'm going to display that on my Instagram pretty soon here. There's not much point in expecting to have freedom. Threats and violence were the way the Nazis came to power in Germany. Freedom is not free. If you can't be bothered to vote against stormtrooper tactics, regardless of who engages in them or over what issue, then you can forfeit your freedom. Worse yet, you can forfeit the freedom of generations not yet born. Some people seem to think that the Supreme Court has banned abortions. It has done nothing of the sort. The Supreme Court has in fact done something very different, something long overdue and potentially historic. It is said that their own court had no business making policy decisions, which nothing in the Constitution gave them authority to make. Get out a copy of the Constitution and see if you can find anything in there that says the federal government is authorized to make laws about abortion. Check out the 10th Amendment, which says the federal government is limited to the specific powers it was granted, with all the other powers going to the states or to the people. That's why I don't like the people trying to make, I don't like the Republicans or the Democrats trying to make abortion laws in Congress or the Senate. Why? Because it's not their purview. The Senate Republicans cannot, or Senate Republicans and House Republicans cannot make laws to ban abortion in the federal government, and the House Democrats and Senate Democrats cannot make laws to make abortion legal up to and past the 9th month. That's not the federal government. Why do we elect legislators to do what the voters want done if unelected judges are going to make up laws on their own instead of applying the laws to that elected officials pass? This is a part of a very long struggle that has been going on for more than 100 years. Back in the early 20th century, progressives like President Woodrow Wilson decided that the Constitution put too many limits on the power they wanted to use. Claiming that it was nearly impossible to amend the Constitution, which it should be, progressives advocated that judges interpret the constitutional limits out of the way. This was just the first in a long series of sophistries. In reality, the Constitution was amended 4 times in 8 years from 1913 through 1920 during the heyday of the progressive era. When the people wanted the Constitution amended, it was amended. When the elites wanted the Constitution amended, but the people did not, that is called democracy. Another great sophistry was using the federal government's authority to regulate interstate commerce, to call all sorts of other things interstate commerce. In 1995, elites were shocked when the Supreme Court ruled 5-4 that carrying a gun near a school was not interstate commerce. States had a right to ban carrying a gun near a school, and most of them did, but the federal government had no such authority, nor did the Constitution give the federal government the right to make laws about abortion one way or the other. What both state and federal laws do have the right to stop is threats against judges and their families. This is not a partisan issue. The Republican governor of Virginia is providing protection to Supreme Court justices who live in that state, but the Republican governor of Maryland seems to think that harassing judges and their families is no big deal. Voters need to find out who is for and against mob rule, whether they are Democrats or Republicans. We are not going to be a free and decent society otherwise. All right, so that was by Thomas Sowell. It wasn't the article I was expecting, but it's spot on either way. All right, now, shall we get back to the Build Back Better hole? Oh, new IRS rules. You will be required to earn a minimum taxable income. If you fail to earn the minimum taxable income, you will be fined or face prison or camp training. Yeah, it's funny because this thing that, they're having this required tax on corporations on revenue, but Okay, no, she's joking about the IRS rule there. Let me find the article on this because give me a second. By the way, the labor force participation rate has fallen again because, it's such a great economy. 62.1% labor force participation falls in July as 239,000 more Americans just drop out of the labor force. Fan-fucking-tastic. Non-farm payrolls added a whopping 528,000 jobs in July, more than double the estimate of 250,000, and unemployment rate edged down to 3.5% in July from 3.6% in June. The Bureau of Labor Statistics report that job growth was widespread, led by gains in leisure and hospitality, professional and business services, and healthcare. Well, yeah, because people are still going back to work. Both total non-farm employment and the employment rate have returned to their February 2020 pre-pandemic levels. So we're back finally, 2.5 years later, to the pre-pandemic levels. Oh, thank you, Joe Biden. Yes, that's all Joe Biden, right? Give me a fucking break. But on the downside, the number of Americans not in the labor force, no job and not looking for one, climbed above the 100,000 mark again, setting at 100,000 or 100 million. 100 million. 100,051,000 in July. That's 239,000 increase from June, and it follows an increase of 510,000 from May to June, when the number rose to 99,812,000. The not in the labor force category includes retired persons, students, those taking care of children and other family members, and others who are neither working nor seeking work. People who don't have a job and aren't looking for one put downward pressure on the important labor force participation rate, which dropped 0.1 of a point to 62.1% in July. So, sure, we're having the employment's back to where it was in February 2020, but the labor participation rate is still lower. Let's talk about the IRS though. Let's talk about the IRS. And we'll finish with these couple articles, and then I got to get out of here because, shit went to hell. So as far as this Build Back Better butthole bill that's now the Inflation Reduction Act. I'm sorry. Every time it'll make me laugh. So they're poised to make the IRS larger than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Patrol combined. You know what? Why is it there's so resistance of having a flat tax and just cutting the IRS down to like basically some pencil pushing, people who just say, oh yeah, there's the postcard. That's right. Okay, next, there's the postcard. That's right. Just make a flat tax with no deductions and make it lower and make it so that everyone pays the same amount. Then everyone will pay their fair share. You don't have to have a complicated tax system. But no, they're not going to do it. Hello, Richo. What's up, my friend? And Foxby, too. So, now this is from August 6th, and this bill passed, so it's kind of in past tense. But anyway, it's if Democrats have their way, which they are, one of the most detested federal agencies, the Internal Revenue Service, will employ more bureaucrats than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Patrol combined. Under the Inflation Reduction Act, negotiated by Senator Joe Manchin, the agency would receive $80 billion in funding to hire as many as 87,000 additional employees. The increase would more than double the size of the IRS workforce, which currently has 78,661 full-time staffers. Where are these staffers going to come from? Somebody asked earlier. I saw somebody ask that earlier, and I don't know where they're going to come from. It's ridiculous. Additional IRS funding is integral to the Democrats' reconciliation package. Congressional Budget Office analysis found that the hiring of new IRS agents would result in more than $200 billion in additional revenue for the federal government over the next decade. How? That alone would result in $200 billion in additional revenue? How? Because you know what? Look. They said they're just going to try to get more money out of people making $400,000 or more, right? That's where the tax prices go. Then they said, oh, we're gonna start getting some of these billionaires. These billionaires have to pay their fair share, right? How many billionaires are there in the United States of America? How many? Anybody? Maybe 1,000? Let's just say it's 1,000, right? But you're hiring 87,000 new IRS agents. Does that mean that what are those other 86,000 IRS agents for? Who are they going to go after? They ain't going after millionaires. They're coming after you. If you're an American, I know some of y'all don't live here, but anyway, 87,000 additional employees. They're not coming after billionaires. They're coming after everybody else. That would make the IRS one of the largest federal agencies. That's ridiculous. The Pentagon houses roughly 27,000 employees, according to the Defense Department, while the Human Resources fact sheet says the State Department employs just over 77,243. The FBI employs approximately 35,000, according to the agency's website. And Customs and Border Patrol, which is where we need 87,000 people, says it employs 19,536. The money allocated to the IRS would increase the agency's budget by more than 600%. A 600% increase in the IRS's budget. Although Democrats say the hiring of additional IRS agents will help root out tax cheats and other criminals, federal tax revenues have steadily risen over the past several decades. Federal tax receipts are projected to hit $5.7 trillion in 2027, up from just over $4 trillion last year without any additional IRS agents. But the roughly $450 billion in new spending proposed by Democrats requires new funding mechanisms. Some of the new spending, which includes $161 billion for clean electricity tax credits. Gee, you need to spend an extra 600% more on the IRS to get $161 billion in clean electricity tax credits and $64 billion in new Affordable Care Act subsidies. The majority of the new revenue from IRS audits and scrutiny will come from those making less than $200,000 a year. Oh, shocker! But you said only people over $400,000 are going to have to pay a penny more in taxes. Contrary to the Democrats' claims that new IRS agents are necessary to target millionaires and billionaires who hide income. Senate Republicans argue that roughly $45 billion of the bill puts towards hiring IRS agents could be better spent on other priorities, such as helping students rebound from the learning loss suffered during stupid 19 school closures. A proposal by Tim Scott, a Republican of South Carolina, would have meant the spending bills to put the IRS money towards education tax credits. They don't want, Democrats aren't going to go for education tax credits. What are you talking about? When faced with the decision to spend $45 billion on America's largest revenue collection agency or give it back to the parents to help them get their kids the help they need, the Senate needs to choose the latter option every single day. Okay, so Tim Scott's doing a little demagoguery there too, because that shit ain't going to happen. Anyway, the Washington Free Beacon previously reported that despite the White House claim to the contrary, the Inflation Reduction Act does little to combat inflation. I'll say. A report from Moody's Analytics found the Democratic bill will shave just 0.33% from the Consumer Price Index over the next decade. Over 10 years, 0.33, or 1/3%. That's just an estimate. That ain't happening. That has nothing to do with the the Inflation Reduction Act. These people are nuts. All right, we're going to finish up with a couple more. Another one from Front Page. This is from Robert Spencer, who is a little I'm going to say he's a little hyperbolic here, but it's worth a read. IRS Gestapo in the making. Oh, ow, yeah. Little Godwin law there, but the police powers of the 87,000 new taxmen. All right. Inflation is skyrocketing. Gas prices, despite old Joe Biden's crowing about minor reductions, are still substantially higher than they were before his presidency was inflicted upon us. America's global standing is drastically diminished by Biden's handlers' catastrophically botched withdrawal from Afghanistan due to lack of preparedness of a politicized military distracted by wokeism. The southern border is essentially non-existent, and due to that as well as the arrival of tens of thousands of unvetted Afghan immigrants, there is an unknowable number of criminals and terrorists in the country who would have been kept out by remotely sane immigration policies. Amid all of this, and much more, Biden's handlers are tackling the real problem facing America today. They are expanding the Internal Revenue Service to the extent that, according to the Washington Free Beacon, it will soon be larger than the Pentagon, State Department, FBI, and Border Patrol combined. Yes, it's true. The people who run Joe Biden around at their dumpster fire of an administration and the smoking ruin they have wrought and decided that what America really needs are tens of thousands new employees at the IRS. The Free Beacon reported that under the Inflation Reduction Act, negotiated by Senator Joe Manchin, the agency would receive $80 billion in funding to hire as many as 87,000 additional employees. The increase would be more than double the size of the IRS workforce, which currently has 8,661 full-time staffers, according to federal data. The new money that the agency would receive would increase the agency's budget by more than 600% in 2021. We just read that. In 2021, by more than 600%. In the new sentence, in 2021, the IRS received $12.6 billion. So it's going from, holy shit, from $12.6 billion to $80 billion. Holy cripes. Why does the IRS need so many new full-time employees? Why does it need a 600% budget increase? It's all part of the administration's ongoing effort to squeeze the American middle class. The Free Beacon notes that according to a Congressional Budget Office analysis, the new behemoth IRS would result in more than $200 billion in additional revenue for the federal government over the next decade. This is because the new IRS agents would devote substantial energy into squeezing Americans and bleeding them dry. Democrats say hiring the additional IRS agents will help root out tax cheats and other criminals, for more than half of that funding is specifically earmarked for enforcement, meaning tax audits and other responsibilities such as digital asset monitoring. That means they're going to be monitoring every dime that comes in and out of your bank account, your PayPal account, your Streamlabs account, your what do you call that? YouTube, that YouTube shit that you do, and Patreon. They're going to start analyzing electronic accounts that aren't necessarily bank accounts. It's easy to see where all this is going. The new Super IRS, dun, 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 will be as corrupt and politicized as the FBI already is, and would use its new staff and money to go after dissenters from the leftist regime in Washington. The IRS is already one of the most hated and feared of all federal agencies, and one that was already politicized during Barack Obama's first two terms, when the infamous Lois Lerner began persecuting conservative nonprofit organizations. Back in the heady days of April 2017, then House Ways and Means Committee Chairman Kevin Brady and then Tax Policy Subcommittee Chairman Peter Roskam asked the Justice Department to reopen a probe into Lerner's conduct. They wrote, on April 9th, 2014, the House Committee on Ways and Means voted to send a letter to the Department of Justice referring former IRS Exempt Organization Division Director Lois G. Lerner for criminal prosecution. As indicated in the attached letter, the committee's nearly 3-year investigation uncovered evidence of willful misconduct on the part of Ms. Lerner. Despite this fact, and for what many believe were purely partisan reasons, the prior administration refused to review Mrs. Lerner's misconduct. Yes, she should be in jail. Indeed, and that misconduct had to do with the politicization of the IRS. In particular, Brady and Roscom continued. The committee found that Ms. Lerner used her position to improperly influence IRS action against conservative organizations, denying these groups due process and protection rights under the law. The committee also found she impeded official investigations by providing misleading statements in response to questions from the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration. Finally, Lerner risks exposing and may have actually disclosed confidential taxpayer information in apparent violation of Internal Revenue Code Section 6103 by using her personal email to conduct official business. Nothing was done, of course. Now Lois Lerner's friends and colleagues are back in power. They're poised now with their new funding to make her look like an impartial, absolutely honest, trustworthy public official. It's clear that Biden's handlers have already turned the Justice Department into a tool of his agenda and now wants to corrupt the IRS in a similar way and turn it against those who dare resist the implementation of his socialist green agenda. Is there anyone among our elected officials in Washington who has the who has the will to stop them in their ongoing efforts to corrupt the American system to its very core? Well, I'm going to guess no, they don't. So, all right, I'm at the last minute here, and I didn't, by the way, all these articles, I will have them in the links in the description down below in the second paragraph. There's one more article from American Heritage. What is this one? The American Thinker. Why is everything's messed up today? Why are those so lonely? Anyway, let's see. Let's go. Come on. What the hell? There we go. And just one more, which if you didn't already realize, the increasing of the IRS annual budget by 7 times doesn't add up. The talk in the media about the beefed up IRS, the IRS budget for fiscal year 2022 totals nearly $14 billion, with a full-time equivalent staff ceiling of 79,808. Now the Democrat-controlled Congress, at the behest of the Biden administration, wants to take that up an additional almost $80 billion, with 1% going to Department of the Treasury offices other than the IRS. That adds up to nearly $93 billion, 7 times this year's budget. 7 times. In addition, Democrats want to add another 86,000 blah, 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 full-time equivalents, basically full-time employees, more than doubling the staffing to 166,660. These positions are described as, quote, new specialized enforcement staff. Oh, enforcement. If you want to see page 17 of the American Families Plan Tax Compliant Agenda for more. The increased funding and staffing are designed to restore IRS enforcement capability through a sustained rebuilding of the IRS. According to IRS data, staffing was at its peak in 1995 at 114,064. So it's been up there before, but not, well, they're even going way higher than that. That was before automation, common use internet, and e-filing. Data processing took more than a quarter of all staff. Within 2 years, the data processing staff was cut in half, no surprise there, and disappeared altogether as a category a couple of years later. As banking became more automated, collection staff numbers, other than revenue officers, were reduced by 2/3. With the advent of e-filing, the filing and account management staff declined. Staffing has been more or less at today's level for a decade, which is eminently reasonable as more sophisticated automation is available to both the IRS and the taxpayer. Under these circumstances, the IRS will not be rebuilding its old structure nor restoring anything that may have been lost. So what is going on? What's going on? Something doesn't add up. We know through observing the Biden administration and congressional activities over the past half year that it takes about $80 billion to cover our costs for a proxy war between the U.S., NATO, and another nuclear power. While practice doesn't always make perfect, it certainly sets a pattern. Now the same actors plan to spend $80 billion going after unpaid income taxes. However, it looks more like Biden and his pet Congress critters are about to fund a war on we the people. So, too much, you say? Well, We've been bombarded from all sides with a reduction in domestic fuel supplies and a corresponding doubling at the price of the pump, insatiability and instability in stock, commodities, housing, and precious metal markets, record inflation rates across all sectors, and stuttering food shortages. They tell us will only get worse, all courtesy of Biden and the Democrats, softening us up for a bigger blow maybe? On April 29, 2021, Biden announced as part of his jobs and family plan that the IRS was going to crack down on millionaires and billionaires who cheat on their taxes. Billions of dollars, he promised, would be recovered. Within a few days, Treasury estimated that as of 2019, $600 million in back taxes were owed. It opined that for every dollar spent on enforcement, $4 could be recovered. Really? The Biden administration treats this as a straight line position, but the pool of tax cheats is not large and the recoverable funds not infinite. Over time, as enforcement is increasingly effective, less and less funding will be recovered. Biden's Build Back Better butthole bingo boondoggle framework issued on October 21st, 2021, noted that wage earners had a 99% tax compliance rate and that the miscreant 1% evades about $160 billion per year in taxes. Sounds like a lot, but it's not too bad, actually. That's just 4% of the $3.863 trillion taken in. Given that perfection will always elude us, at what point does this become statistically insignificant and unjustifiably wasteful? Well, this is their damn federal government. Of course it's going to be unjustifiably wasteful. There are more. Do they really need 87,000 more agents to address issues that within maybe 1.5 million taxpayers? No, absolutely not. So again, what is this money for? In the original Build Back Better bill, dispensing with the rest of the B's, this section took up a page. Now it's 10 pages long. It starts on page 1926 of the current version of H.R. 5376 and on page 31 of the Senate's draft Inflation Reduction Act. Versions are slightly different, but the total is the same. In the $45 billion enforcement section, we've got, quote, to provide digital asset monitoring. Didn't we just talk about that? If that doesn't make the hairs on the back of your neck stand up, I don't know what will. The IRS should be concerned only with assets its suspects are being funded through tax fraud, and it doesn't take $45 billion to do that. But to establish the ability to implement Senator Warren's unconstitutional wealth tax, well, it might just be enough. $403 million for the Inspector General to keep the IRS on the straight and narrow, maybe hire some ethical folks, get rid of those that misbehave and save that money. And about those 87,000 new folks, the IRS already can't meet its annual hiring goals. If you worked there, would you let folks know? A friend of mine even kept her family in the dark. If I worked for the IRS, I'd be living in a bunker somewhere because I would never let anybody know. IRS agents are accountants. Now, that the San Diego School District is giving straight A's to every child who lives in the district, whether or not they show up at school, think any of them will be able to make it through the 30 semester hours of increasingly complex accounting courses? 40% of all accounting graduates opt to become CPAs, which takes them out of the running for entry-level agent positions. CPAs need a full year's worth of credits on top of their degree, a couple of years of public accounting sweatshop, passing all segments of the CPA exam, and annual continuing education credits. Starting wages for agents are significantly lower than for private industry accountants. Buried in the wording is a paragraph giving the Secretary of the Treasury the ability to hire directly into the competitive services without regard for current laws that mandate publicly announcing available competitive service openings. The Secretary can ignore all federal laws that give hiring preferences to veterans, the disabled, former employees that would include fired for not taking COVAX, or the vacation, military spouses, Peace Corps volunteers, etc. That's one way to make sure only those who meet a political smell test get to participate in the new IRS enforcement programs. This is unsupportable. It's unnecessary, wasteful, and is covering up the true plans of Pelosi, Schumer, Warren, Sanders, and the rest of the what the hell did I do there? And the rest of the ultra progressive cohort. We must stop it now. Stop this war on we the people. But it's too late now because Senator Manchin and Senator Sinema went along with this bullshit. He continues, Senator Manchin and Sinema, I'm surprised and very disappointed that you could agree to such a huge hit on your constituents. The cost of letting this go through will be far greater than any cost associated with voting nay. Well, too late now. All right, let me finish up the show here. Thank you, FTG Farms, our sponsor, and FTG Farms. You are the new Streamlabs Superstar sponsor of the day. Thank you very much. Who says, I'd like to give a free FTG to Emperor Pudding Brain, Schumer, the zombie, Pelosi, the lush, maybe? And to anyone that thinks these idiots in power are the best option on the 2020 ballot. Don't worry, we have a massive surplus of fucks to cover it. Well, there you go. Thank you very much, FTV Farms. And also, thank you, Captain Hotep, with the $4.99, the YouTube Super Chat, who says, weaponized the IRS. Where have I seen this before? Yes, Lois Lerner is our queen of weaponizing the IRS, aka, and well, I should say the pawn, Barack Obama, would have been the king of weaponizing the IRS. So anyway, it's funny. A lot of people like to say that this administration is the third term of Obama. I'm just not going to comment on that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go. And I'm sorry about the mishap mid-show, but I'm glad a lot of you showed back up. Hit the like button on this one. Hit the like button on the last one. Or like button on the last one. If you're watching both halves, put comments in the comment section. Thank you for sponsoring the show by sharing the streams and replays before, during, after the show. And also, thanks for those who sponsor the show, like FTG Farms, a.k.a. Tyre Alexander, and Canon Hotep, who I'm going to see on Thursday in Las Vegas. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I got to go. If you do all that stuff that I just said, if you get a chance, and we'll see you tomorrow. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, for the Morning Night Live. Thanks for being here. I really do got to go. My name's P-Dog Knight, and I am out of here. Bye-bye. Hey, this is P-Dog Knight, and thanks for watching today on the P-Dog Knight channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comment section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterwards so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all the supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through Streamlabs, YouTube, Venmo, and Cash App, which are all linked in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm P-Dog Knight, and I'm out of here.